Welcome everyone to Gaian Myths, Weaving Ancient Future Timelines, where we are interweaving cultural narratives with Mama Gaia to help create a peaceful and harmonious reality for all beings. Many of the ancient ways and myths of times past are resurfacing today because they teach us how to live in co-creation on this planet with each other and all beings. As we share these living stories, we remember our sacred purpose and place in the tapestry of all life. I'm Brianna Wonderland, a Holy Fire Reiki Master Trainer, clairvoyant energy healer, meditation teacher, and divine feminine leader. And I'm here with my co-producer of this event, Julia Weigert, who serves as a vessel for the divine feminine presence, the Shekinah, in the greater awakening of the planet. Spending 2 decades in corporate project and process management while at the same time walking the priestess path, she embodies the living bridge of both worlds. In 2021, she decided to fully devote her life to her company Soul Wisdom that is consecrated to empower female beings in remembering and embracing both their divine and physical nature, for it is in being the bridge that the magic and power unfolds in one's life. As a woman's ceremonialist and mentor, she guides women to live in tune with the rhythms of nature, reclaim their sovereign power, and reconnect with their soul essence and wisdom. As a Reiki master teacher and energy healer, she holds and facilitates space for potent transformational processes, allowing others to access their innate soul wisdom. Her true passion lies in being an endless pilgrim and guiding others on sacred sojourns designed to facilitate a profound experience of self in the embrace of ancient lands enchanted by magic. We truly experience what it means to walk both realms and get to understand our place and purpose in the greater cosmos. Her podcast, the Sacred Travel Podcast, is to launch soon. Julia holds regular women's circles in Zurich, as well as online, and leads sacred site travel experiences to places of power around the world. You can visit her website, www.soulwisdom.ch, to inquire about adventures to embark on her with. And we will be diving into that today, traveling to sacred sites, opening star portals, and retrieving Gaian codes. Welcome, Julia.
Yes, hello. Hi. And hi, everyone. We are really excited for, all of us weaving together and being here and sharing all the keys and codes.
I'm so excited. And I really want to hear about how this passion got sparked in you about traveling to places to be a pilgrim and to be activated by sacred sites.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I feel that lately it's become quite popular, I have to say. But so being a Sagittarius sun, um, I've always had a passion for travel. And when I think back of even being a child, and we we get these things that really interest us, and that was for me it was stones. Like give me, and I'm from Europe, so I mean we do have a lot of old stones and like castle ruins and um, archaeological sites. And so, yeah, for me, that was always, even as a kid, like the best thing to roam those castle ruins or to go to any of these, even churches. And of course, not really knowing about the places, but like now tracking back what that was and how we can be attracted to these power places and energy vortexes without actually knowing. But since we are part of nature, we feel it in our bodies. And then I guess it was the first trip that I like consciously made where I went on a pilgrimage. And pilgrimage before to me was very much a religious concept. So it hasn't really been something that I would engage in until I got to know the concept of a spiritual pilgrimage. And I did that with the beloved Sarah Naya Soleil. She's also part of that summit. And back then she was co-hosting a tour to Egypt with Achintya Devi from Goddess Rising. And so I went with the two of them to travel the ancient temples of Egypt. And that was for me, I mean, and Egypt is quite an intense experience to immerse yourself in for the quote unquote first time. But that opened up a whole new level of like traveling to me and how we can connect to places. And it doesn't always have to be these famous places, but in general, like what it means to connect with, of course, nature, but then also certain energetic places on a much more conscious level. And it's like a whole new world that opens up.
That's really beautiful. And that's part of what we're creating is the new earth, especially with Gaian myths. So I'm wondering about that as part of your purpose of helping us, dive into those sacred earth spots and how that transforms us as people and as humanity in general.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, from my experience and also, having um been both like a pilgrim sister to others and having witnessed their process, but also having led people to places and knowing about the potency of what can happen when we really allow ourselves to merge with the energies that are present. And there's different layers that I would like to answer the question, because I feel that there is always also, of course, a personal layer when we go to some places. So there's always like these personal experiences that we have on our own growth journey that open us up for the wider truth of the secrets of the universe, because all of these um, sacred sites, or especially, let's say, the sacred sites like ancient temples or that involve some megalithic structures, Stonehenge or Avebury or like any other kind of stone circle, it's a repository for information. So I like to think of it as an earth library. So when we go there, we literally can retrieve information. And whether this is, of course, when there are spots that have been used for sacred ceremonial purposes for decades, we also tap into this energy that is present, that has been cultivated over a period of time. And so the sites are amplified with this with the sacredness and the the wisdom that is present. And so it can be that there is a very, very personal experience. So for me, for example, when I travel, it happens that I get past life experiences. Um, why do I get it? Because there is a certain thread or a certain information that I need to integrate or disintegrate in this lifetime in order for me to move on. So there's like a greater expansion that can happen. And then there is also always a collective layer, or where we can tap into literally the energy that is present with the earth or also the cosmos, because it's all a mirroring, right? It's like the above and the below. And so we work with with the elements, whether this is, and I know that stone technically is not an element, but I'm a little bit like obsessed with stones and crystals, and so with the mineral kingdom. Um, and so there is a reciprocity of information that happens when you are in communication. And there is information that you can access that is not just personal, but that is actually like giving you information on um, how the earth needs to be treated, or how certain elements weave together in order to create a more harmonious environment.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm sure you have some recent trip journeys that could like expand experiences that could expand upon that, help us ground that.
I have so many. Um, okay. Mm, Okay, what actually wants to come through right now, it's not recent, but it's a story how I met my dragon first. And I was totally not prepared for that. I mean, I was kind of I was, but kind of I wasn't. And so I was in Milan, an Italian city, and I was there with my mother and my sister, and they were already like they ventured out to look for something, and I had a heart meditation, or a group container that I was part of, and that I did in the hotel before joining them. And so we did a heart meditation in this container, and it was super expansive. And what happened that in that meditation, my dragon came to me, and the first time that I saw him, it was just this gigantic heart that was pulsing and pulsing, and that was telling me that how to live from the heart. And I mean, back then, that was already like 2 years ago or so. I had heard the concept of dragons. I had believed in it, but I have never really experienced it. And so it was new to me. And when you have like these very felt experiences in your body, it's sometimes like, whoa, okay, what is this? And then we were done, and I went outside, still like trying to process. And as I look around, I find myself in this quarter that is called Del Sacro Cuore, the Sacred Heart. And like walking along a church that with the exact same name. So everything like really pointing into that heart and how sacred the heart is. And that when we open up ourselves to also these beings, right? The dragons, and there's many dragons, but that one specifically was a earth dragon. It's just we get all these nudges, and the universe like really conspires in a way that we receive this information and that we can take it in. And then I was walking to the Duomo, that the sacred cathedral, and even the flanking up there, there was these little dragons that were like on the side of the houses. And so yeah, that was a really beautiful experience. And then let's see, there's something else that wants to come. I mean, Egypt, of course. So I just came back from Egypt in December. Again, is always like such a big opener. And I had a super beautiful experience being in the second pyramid, which I hadn't been in before. And to me, I had connected with, and I'm going to say her already when I was there the first time. And she was to me very much like ancient grandmother energy. And we had several conversations, she and I, and like she told me a lot of my past lives, especially in Egypt, and my mission, and yeah, the sacred feminine path that I'm holding. And then this time when we went inside, and there was this beautiful, yeah, ceremony and meditation that was facilitated, I was just soaked into this gigantic cosmic womb. It was just like one floating ocean, and the whales were there and they were singing. And you know, when you are, when you're in space, well, you don't know, but so, and it's so quiet, but at the same time, it's like so loud. And the trust and just this, I knew I was held so much, and I knew that everything that was happening, and that was like even all the chaos and the death and the deconstruction, whether this is happening in my personal life, and I was shown like some scenes in a way that they are unfolding in my personal life right now, but I was also shown scenes of what's happening in places of the world right now. And still, how from a very high level perspective, all of this is part of a greater transformation and awakening that is held by the Great Mother. And that was just the most incredible feeling of trust that I ever experienced.
Mm. That's really beautiful. And all your sharing, it really reminds me of why people have made this an ancient practice for forever is to have these experiences,
Yeah.
and to open themselves up to those energy portals that are in the earth, and to align with them and co-create with them, like Egypt made their whole country a star portal. So
Yeah.
it's just so beautiful that you're helping people discover and soak in those experiences. And I'm wondering how you work with the different energies in different places.
I never know before. It's always a surprise. Well, most of the times. And that's also what I really love about it, because it can happen that, sometimes it's really just these instants that you feel that something needs to happen. And that can be very, very small. Um, and almost like in the same second that you feel that something needs to happen, like a specific group of people need to come together, or you need to be working with the elements, it can also already be gone again. So in general, I feel because there is the nature, the natural telluric energies that form certain vortices on the earth, and they are, most of the times they are already used, and that's why the sites are there. And sometimes we have this, when we go visit, and we have these feelings that, I don't know, a lightning bolt needs to hit us, or like these huge download needs to come, and then when we go and nothing really happens, and we can, or some people get a bit irritated about that. But that's also when I feel we forget that the magic is actually in the very, very subtle moments, and that the integration, like time and space, is really limitless, right? And it doesn't come to us in the way that, especially coming from a mind perspective, when we think that we are open to it. It can come in a dream. It can come, I don't know, days or weeks later, when you're doing something or like seeing something, and then it's like, oh, I know what this was about. And so it's very mysterious, but it's also, for me, it's just one great adventure in a way. And because you are in nature and because you work with nature, it's also that you never really know what happens until it happens, right? So it can be that some sort of circumstances, may that be the weather or the accessibility, is not given, or yeah, whatever. And so, just to give you an example, Trying to think of something. Um, that is not, I mean, Egypt is obviously just very present because this is the latest one that I returned from. Um, but I'm just trying to think. So one part that is very present for me is I love crystals and I love working with crystals. And there is a very magnificent place in the Swiss mountains here, and that place is like the entire mountain is basically just full of different types of quartz. And so when you go there, you feel already by just driving up, you feel that the energy is very much amplified. And so also this guy's from there. And I so when I go there and I like travel to certain, I hike to certain places because this one is like high up in the mountains. I just I'm given instructions where to put crystals and how to program them in order for certain energies to be either able to enter the earth field or to leave the earth field. And most of the time, it also includes water. So, for example, up there, there is also a huge artificial lake. um, so it can be that I am, yeah, instructed to program a clear quartz and to put it into the water. And sometimes it's it's not really that I know, like fully know and get the full spectrum of what I'm doing. It's just that I learned how to trust and how to follow these nudges and these voices. And sometimes also after I receive the closing of the loop that what happened, and sometimes I don't, and that's okay. And so when we were in Egypt with and Katerina, she's also on the summit. We were with the other sisters, but the two of us, we were, yeah, kind of like working together very closely. And there was a lot that we received about how to move the waters and how to sing to the waters of the Nile and how to infuse it with the star codes so that the information um, literally like our divinity can enter the waters, and the water is a carrier of information, right? So in the end, all the water that goes back and like makes, and the Nile is the longest body of water that traverses the entire African continent, and that the information that is then infused in these waters goes to all the lands. And same with like if you think of it as like one big cycle and circle, that the drinking water that we get and the sources. So when we purify the water and that gets to us and inside of us, it's like this co-weaving that happens.
That's really beautiful. Thanks for talking about the water and those different sites. And
It's all about the water. It's all about the water. Always. It's ever always been all about the water, not just since Atlantis.
our Lemuria,
Yes. Yes.
lots of water.
Yeah.
Are there any other water tales you'd like to share?
Um, water tales. Yeah, actually, yes, thank you. Um, Another one that I want to mention is I visited the Isle of Iona in September last year. Um, and like Iona is an island, and so in itself surrounded by water. And I mean, Brianna, you've been too. I don't know how you felt there, but to me, again, it was just like that
Water
giant
is, yeah. Giant what?
womb space.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's also,
It's off
you
the
take
coast
a
of
boat.
Scotland.
It's off the coast of Scotland. Yes, thank you. Yeah, exactly. And then there is even a tinier island that it's called Staffa. And for some of you who might have heard about it, it's called Fingal's Cave. And it's these gigantic black, I think it's basalt pillars. It looks quite ferocious, also depending on how the weather conditions and the water conditions are. Um, but it's really truly an inspiring place. And so it's that cave of these like black, almost like devilish pillars that opens up to the sea facing Iona. And when I was on the island, and there is actually even songs and music that has been inspired by the crashing of the waves leaving in and out of the cave. And when I was on Staffa, it really felt to me that this is a master temple of sound, and that it has been used as in ancient times as a sacred place for initiations into sound and frequency, and also healing with sound. And so, and like that in itself was really interesting. And also just to sit and be in the cave, although you can go in really just quickly. And then being back on Iona and standing there and like watching the on the horizon, seeing um, that other aisle and the cave, and it struck me that the whole waterway, it's called the Sound of Iona. And there
Mm,
is, and a lot of like Iona in itself, also the crystals and the minerals that this island is made of, it's crazy. It's like a giant generator in the sea. And
mm,
so it came to me that there, and on the side that is like facing Staffa, it's kind of like whitish
mm,
minerals. And so the white and the black, they almost form like this, the yin and the yang, the unison. And
mm,
that information or like sound is being transmitted, and again like the waterway in between, right, to Staffa, and then the cave is like echoing it back into the Sound of Iona. And not just Iona, but then also the Hebrides, and then from the Sound of Iona and the way that the water is flowing with the Gulf and everything, that it's being transported even further. And so whatever um, healing or prayer you're going to be speaking into that cave, and there's a good likelihood that it's going to come out in Spain or in the Mediterranean. And so it's just, I just love, these, and I get very childish about these things. And I feel it's kind of like a witchy childiness, was like, hee, let's do some magic. Let's say a prayer into the cave, and then it's gonna come out on the other side of the world, and somebody will feel it, and somebody's gonna be happy about it.
mhm. Yeah. For those of you who are praying for like a Mediterranean lover, just go to the cave. Say your prayer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I love this, brings out the playful, right? The playful, passionate part of you. And that's what ignites others as well. It helps them really, enter into these places because sometimes it can be scary to travel or to go on
Yeah,
these journeys where unexpected things can happen, and
yeah,
so it's really good to like get lit up about it and excited because it's totally worth it. I mean, my own pilgrimages have been insane and always worth it. So
yeah. Do you have a story to share? I mean, I'm sure you have tons, but like, what is the one that wants to come now?
well, I am right now next to a sacred mountain, Mount Tamalpais in California.
Mm,
And this mountain is said to be a protector by some of the shamans between the sea, the ocean beings, and the land, and to help there be a relationship between the ocean and the land. So just looking at the world that as a living being, that there are all these sites and different mountains and different places that where they have a living energy that is navigating the natural world for us in a lot of ways. Like the stones often are protectors, or mountains can be places of wisdom and also protection, and the place that we kind of root in and feel ourselves grow from. And so, just that there are looking around yourself, and especially to the mountains or the rivers, or everywhere, to see like what are these relationships, and to introduce yourself to the land where you are.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for speaking to that. What I feel is super important that even if we go with a certain level of consciousness, we just don't walk into these places. Like you always ask permission. And my sacred travel gear is almost more than anything else I bring because there is going to be offerings. And so wherever I love to offer rose petals or just, yeah, flowers, anything that is biodegradable, of course, or also leave little crystals sometimes. But yeah, I feel it's super important that we also connect and commune with the guides and guardians, the elemental guides and guardians of the places, and ask for permission to enter and also state our purpose and our intention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very important to ask permission and to acknowledge that there's other living beings here. And this
Yeah.
is their home, it's like asking permission to go into somebody's home, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Love that. And it's always good to leave an offering, and like rose petals for you, or you can listen to the right offering, or tobacco in the United States. In the United States, South America, the American continent is a good offering for most places.
Yeah. What I also love, coming back to the water, I always take these little like glass vials with me, and almost wherever I go, I collect water. Um, and then to other places where I go, I bring water. And so to me, it feels like there is that weaving of the waters that happens, which is also like an intercommunication, but an interweaving and like, I don't know, cross purification, cross pollination that is happening because when one sacred spring merges with another sacred spring, again, we have like this amplification of the energy that happens.
Hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I've heard that Egypt likes the offering, like a lot of sacred sites in Egypt like to get things from far away.
Yeah, I brought water from Avalon um and Merlin's Cave also to Egypt. Yeah.
Mm.
And
And
let's
where?
see where. Hmm?
Mm. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say let's see where the Nile water and the Sphinx sand wants to go. Because
Mm.
usually I keep it for a little while, but then it always tells me like where it wants to go next. So
Mm. That's really beautiful. And what is your happy place? What's the place that makes you happy?
I guess I have many, but like the happy place, and we touched on it very briefly. That's the valley in the Swiss mountains that I was talking about. It's called the Valley of the Light, and I mean it's not called the Valley of the Light for nothing. So literally, like the light codes up there are just insane. So you can go any time of year, whether it's snow or whether it's in the summer. and the meadows are green and the sun is out. But it's really just incredible. The light orbs, the light bulbs. There's a lot of like dancing fairies around. To me, it's total, like again, it's total Dragonland because you literally walk on these crystalline dragon eggs. And it's a place where I partially also grew up, or like I already went when I was a child. But then when I started to really work with portals and nature, it was calling me over and over again. And it was also because it is one of the valleys where I would say it's not very common for tourists, so it's not very commonly known. It's not super remote, but it's quite remote, and it's like literally a dead end. So you stop, and then the next thing that you can do is you can walk to Italy. But it's just, yeah, it's simply stunning, and there is um, there's a big lake, and the scenery itself is very stunning, but also just being up there, it's super healing. And whenever I go, I get a lot of activations from the Pleiades and also from Sirius. So to me, it feels like a very, very healing place. And there is also a thermal spring, and the source of one of the biggest European rivers is up there in the mountains. So also like the quality of the water is super pure, and air, obviously,
Mm.
of course, as well. And so, yeah, when I started going there, like again, and also really like doing doing the grid work, so to say, um, and the place asked me to bring people, and at first I was like, no, like this is my place. I don't want to bring people here. You're secret, like you're sacred secret. And he's like, and the dragons were like, yep, you're bringing people here. Like, this is a healing spot. So people need to come here, and they need to be infused with the light codes. And then they go to their homes, and then whatever they received, then they're going to be spreading it, right? Um, and so, yeah. And I mean, what is a better time of year than summer solstice? And so I started doing solstice retreats there. And this year I'm going to be hosting one again. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. That's so beautiful. So reach out to Julia if you're in Europe or wherever and you're like, I need to go
Wherever.
there.
Make it a Europe trip of different sacred sites. Yeah.
And do you offer like day trips there as well? Like if people were like to contact you for a private like trip?
It's funny that you asked that question because I have literally today I was thinking about, man, I really should, because I really want to do that for myself, right? Just do day trips to um places that are nearby. And so this one, I mean, I would say it depends a little bit from where you are. You can do it in a day. But the magic also unfolds, especially in that valley. I would say if you stay overnight and if you like see the stars. But there's very I mean there's tons of places, and that's maybe one thing that I would also want to share. It doesn't always have to be Egypt. It doesn't have to be Stonehenge. It doesn't have to be Machu Picchu. There is so many sacred sites around where you exactly live. Um, and we don't know about it. We don't necessarily know about it. And I did some research, especially for Switzerland. Um, I am still surprised about the amount of megalithic structures that are there. And so, for example, I did a Samhain gathering with another sister, Michaela. She's also on the summit, and we found a stone circle close to Zurich, like literally close to the city. And that was like, I knew that it had been there, but I hadn't really visited. And I thought it was crumbling or whatever. It's like, no, no. And it was the most magical experience. And so if you start looking and if you start investigating around your own area, whether this is megalithic sites or, as Brianna mentioned, like just sacred mountains, or go on a hike and you just sit wherever you feel that the energy calls you to be and start communing and engaging with what the land and the elementals have to tell you. It doesn't have to be that you're going abroad for like this huge experience.
Mhm. Yeah, totally. I think that's very important. And part of why we're talking about this is to, and this whole entire event is to help us all sink into the sacredness that is all around us and that sacred relationship with nature.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, so coming back to your question, it's definitely on my plan to also do day trips or maybe weekend trips to sites that are close. Yes.
Good. Um, and you mentioned that's an upcoming adventure. Do you have other ones that you'd like to mention?
Yes. I am actually still amidst the phase of planning out the entire year. So I have a couple of ideas. I don't know quite yet which ones will then also actually make it. But I have on my website, there is a section that talks about, and my voice is cracking right now, where you can sign up for interest lists for certain trips that are more or less planned out. And so whenever I know that I have enough people who would really want to go with me, then I start further investigating on some dates. But there, one that is not on there that is probably going to be happening this year is another Avalon trip upcoming. So Glastonbury, that is also the heart chakra of the planet. Heart, big, big heart openings. Lots of also sacred water springs. And another one that I am manifesting that I'm personally also very excited about is Greece.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some specific places in Greece. I mean, there's lots of islands.
Um, I'm not supposed to be sharing yet. Let's just say it's gonna be a temple slash mermaid experience.
Oh, okay, yes. All you like water priestesses that want to go to Greece or are interested in this connection with the water
Yeah.
experience, let Julia know. That's really beautiful. Yay! Well, there's so many upcoming amazing adventures to go with you on. I'm so excited for you and all those that will take advantage of going with you to those beautiful places. And I know that your free gift is also inspired by Iona called Access, or Portals to the Other World, transmissions and storytelling from Iona and Staffa. We mentioned briefly, but people can get a little bit more of that taste in your free gift. Is there anything you want to share about that?
Yeah, sure. So that was an immersive, a 3-day immersive that I did over the Samhain portal last year. And I just very much like to weave in travel experiences or connect people with these places, because sometimes you also don't necessarily want to or have the ability to go somewhere physically. And of course, we can also connect to all of these places in the etheric realms. And so some of the experiences that I had, and back then it was connected to Samhain, which is also a bit timeless because this is really for you if you want to dive deeper and transcend any kind of fears and step into your power.
Mm, wow, very beautiful. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited for that for everyone who takes advantage. I'm so excited that we did this. Thank you so much, Julia. Thank you for co-producing this event with me and making it possible and being a divine sister in all the support and all the downloads together. It's been really beautiful. So I just want to thank you publicly. I'll thank you again publicly and thank you to
Mhm.
all those who are watching and tuning in. And please check out.
Ta-da!
Yeah, it's good for something. Oh, yes, with all our love, please check out the other interviews on Gaian Myths as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Brianna. Thank you to you as well. And thank you so much for all of you to be here. I mean, we wouldn't be here, yeah, if there wasn't this big co-weaving and co-creating. So thank you so much for being here and being in this experience together with us. And we really, really hope that you enjoy the next coming days. It's going to be epic.
Stay tuned.